And from there, we're going to move on to, and we're bringing this back from the old Amari Purple Talk days. We're bringing back the artist spotlight, and that will be a segment where we just highlight an associated artist, associated act, protege, whatever you want to call it, and talk about that artist. And so today, my focus is going to be on Jill Jones. One of my first memories of just kind of hearing the name, it goes all the way back to Tina Marie's It Must Be Magic album. And there's a song on that album called The Battle of Cradle and Rob and Me. But if you look at the liner notes of that album, you see background vocals by JJ. But you also see in the songwriting credits, a co-writing song credit for that song, The Battle of Cradle Rob and Me. And it's a catchy tune. I like that album. It was probably the actual first Tina Marie album that I owned. The one that made me become a fan was Irons in the Fire, and actually became a fan of Tina Marie and Prince the same day, thanks to a friend of mine that brought Dirty Mind and Irons in the Fire over to use my component set to make a dub, make a cassette out of. So that was the It Must Be Magic album was the one that I actually went out and got myself. And yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. Bought it off the strength of Square Biz, but I digress. But reading the liner notes, then it was like, okay, well, JJ, okay, okay. I was always fascinated, like, who were the background singers? What did the background singers look like? Who were the musicians? What kind of what kind of instruments are they playing on those things? So, I was a liner note junkie. So fast forward to the 1999 album and reading the liner notes on that, then I see the name JJ pop up on those as well. And I'm like, well, what if that's the same person? Because usually if you read enough liner notes, you do see some reoccurring people, like as far as musicians, like with Stevie Wonder. Nathan East is a famous session player. You see him on Stevie Wonder albums, and also kind of the Jacksons, like with Destiny and Triumph on those albums. So I'm seeing the name, I'm trying to connect the dots, like, is that the same person? Oh, that's cool. So she worked with Tina Marie, now she's working with Prince. Cool, that'll work. And lo and behold, come to find out, yeah, that's the same person. And I think the icing on, or the cherry on top, was the appearance in the 1999 video. And I was like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm in, I'm sold 100%. And then you fast forward to the appearance in the Purple Rain film, and yeah, it's kind of messed up how her character was. That I felt bad for her character. I mean, I get the story of Purple Rain. I get why the main characters, who they are and why they are, and all of that stuff. But I felt like really sorry for her in that video, because it's like she just couldn't catch a break with Prince in that film. But it was cool that she was part of the Prince camp now. And I guess, I can't remember if there were ever rumors about her working on an album. Like I said, you see a lot in the background of, like I said, a lot of Prince albums. There's appearances on The Glamorous Life. We know that she provided offstage background vocals for Vanity 6. So she was definitely a key player in, that Prince era, that, back when things were magical and mysterious, and, it was, really cool in those days. But fast forward to about 1987, like right around the summer 1987. And it was myself, and of course, you've heard him on the show quite a few times, the artist known as Alex B. Was co-songwriter of mine and keyboard player in my group Chaotic Beat. You know, we used to just like dissect records, you know, and we always went for like the obscure kind of records. You know, we always listened to the stuff that was hits, obviously. But to kind of like have a leg up creatively, you know, we listened to B-sides of things, or, you know, we would find a group or a record by a group that, you know, maybe nobody else was hip to, but it was something on it that we liked. Like, oh, okay, well, I like how they're playing guitar on that. So, you know, I wonder if I can do something different or improve on it, or somehow be influenced by it. So, you know, we were always getting those. Remember earlier that year, I remember he got the Madhouse album on vinyl. And, you know, we didn't know. We just saw, you know, it had Paisley Park label on it. But it was like all this jazz. And it was like, okay, well, that's cool. You know, back then we thought we were probably the only ones that knew about it. Thank God you know, a lot of people love the Madhouse stuff. But fast forward to that summer, you know, we run across her debut album. And I remember seeing it was on CD, but back then CDs were ridiculously priced. And as much, I think, let's see, no, because I didn't even have a CD player till like Christmas or something like that year. So, but it was like, oh, these CDs are so expensive, when, you know, you could get the cassette. And by then we had kind of phased out vinyl, you know, in favor of cassettes anyway. So, but that's how I ended up with this. I did have the CD at one point. I don't have it anymore. Hoping to track a copy down. But eventually I'm going to get a vinyl edition of this. But I know myself, Alex B, we were very elated that she dropped an album. And I mean, the songs on it, and again, reading the liner notes, I think what was different from this, as opposed to, say, The Time, as even some of the Sheila E. stuff, these were actual, you know, the liner notes said, you know, co-written Prince and Jill Jones. So we thought she had a hand in it, at least with the lyrics anyway. Come to find out that, you know, it was Prince that did everything, as we discovered bootlegs later. But I tell you, this was one of those personal albums where, like I said, it wasn't on the radio a lot. I know when I moved to California, like, I think For Love was getting some radio play, and that was cool. But like I said before, like that summer of '87, you know, it felt like an album that just belonged to me. You know, nobody else knew about it. Nobody else really wanted to know about it. So it was cool to have that. And like I said, I love the songs. I love the lyrics to a lot of the songs. And like I said, just happy that she was getting her own album. Now the downside, you can kind of tell that this was an album that kind of came out a little too late. Like, if this dropped in '85, probably '86 even, I think this would have been a serious hit, like a major hit, like top 10, even top 20, maybe even top 10, whether it's R&B or pop. I think this would have, but by late '86 into '87, you had where hip hop was grabbing a stronghold on music. You also had New Jack Swing to kind of come in, and it was kind of slowly pushing that, what we kind of knew was the Minneapolis sound. It was kind of pushing that out, and I think the only people, I mean, Prince was always in a lane by himself, so you know, it didn't matter. Of course, he still had hits, even though maybe the albums themselves, even though they were successful, they didn't get past 1 million in sales, or barely 2 million in sales. Um, but that New Jack Swing and hip hop was kind of pushing that Minneapolis sound out the way. I think the only ones out of Minneapolis that really honestly survived it was Jam and Lewis. Maybe Andre Simone because he was producing Jody Watley at the time. But I think everybody else, it was one of those things where the releases were just very personal if you were a deep cut Prince fan. You know, like I said, this is a very personal album for me. You know, like I said, not too many people knew about it, or it was cool to, you know, talk to a music fan about it, you know, where other band members, you know, you would be hip to this album, and it was cool to discuss it with them. Um, and it's kind of regrettable that we didn't get a follow up to this record as well. Of course, you know, there's been some drama. It was drama to get the first one out. Like, they started recording this, like, what, 84? 1984? And it didn't come out till 1987 because it was kind of like on again, off again, which was kind of synonymous with their relationship and stuff. So, you know, unfortunately, circumstances led to there not being a follow up album. But you know, she has released albums kind of over the last maybe what decade, almost 2 decades now. I think they're still on streaming, so you should be able to check those out. There's one in particular called Two that was getting some buzz. You know, it's different. You know, so if you're going in expecting to hear Prince-like sounds, no, she's doing her own thing. You know, which is cool. You know, that's, you know, her as an artist. She was expressing herself as an artist. Kind of the last two things, there was a couple of singles that were released. One immediately, or you know, a little after Prince had passed, called "I Miss You," and that's a very beautiful song. That's I've heard it once because I bought the download on Apple, and then I saw the video, and you know, it's moving because I remember that, and then Morris Day had a tribute song as well. So those things were really, they were beautiful, but they were hard to listen to. But that is a beautiful track. If you haven't heard it, check it out. One of the last singles that she's put out is called "Not Another Love Song," and that's a beautiful one too. It kind of gives me like Tina Marie ballad vibes in it, which I enjoy. But that's another one to check out. So, you know, just because they're not working, you know, fully 100% in the Prince camp, or if they're not capitalizing 100% off of the Prince sound, you know, they're expressing themselves as artists. We'll get into another episode like F Deluxe, how that album was, to me, was the family but mature. You know, so you didn't go back to the same sounds from 1985. They sound like the family now, you know, 2011 when that came out. But yeah, you know, I know she's involved in a lot of different business ventures. A lot of those ventures aren't necessarily tied to music per se, but definitely an artist. You know, check out stuff post Prince. Like I said, check out, you know, background vocals on a lot of the classic Minneapolis sound albums. Also the classic Tina Marie album, or you know, just pick up a copy of It Must Be Magic and check her out. And peace to her. Peace to her cat. I know the cat has been in ill health, and you know, if you're a pet owner, you know, that's family kind of. And so, you know, peace to her. Glad we're dedicating this segment of the show to her. And you know, by all means, like I said, check it out. Hopefully one day we'll get to see a re-release of this, along with some of the extended mixes. So hopefully we'll see that from the estate one day, and we can go out and support Jill Jones and the album. So Jill Jones, thanks for all the music, and we miss you on Twitter or X or whatever that mess they call it, but by all means, you know, find her on other social media platforms. And like I said, again, thanks for everything. So from there, we're going to move on. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get notification on future episodes on the amaricommunications channel, or become a Patreon supporter and get early access to content as well as bonus content exclusive to the channel. Peace.